One of the reasons that the doctor kept taking the ANA double stranded test is because I was denying the medication for the lupus, and they couldn't understand why. It turns out that I don't have the type of lupus that would have required the medication that they were wanting me to be on. It's called what is it? An ANA double-sided, double-stranded. It's a anti-DNA AB is what it's called, and I'm negative for it. This particular type of lupus. I do have Raynaud's, and I've got the speckled patterns condition, both of which are different types of lupus than what they were talking about. The type that I'm talking about is SLE. For those of you who have been diagnosed with it, who came out of Dowagiac or out of Benton Harbor, I would recommend to any of you to get a second opinion, because these are the guys who kept saying that I had it over there. And it's not that they just were purposely misdiagnosed me. It's just that they hadn't done this particular test yet for them to specifically rule out the SLE. I'm telling people this because not everything goes to blaming your doctor for misdiagnosis. Some of it is just a lack of the testing that's been done on you, and they may not have all the information or the facts that they need before making their diagnosis. This is why you have to be very clear and very specific as to what's wrong with you, so that they can better gauge, based on your complaints and what you're telling them, as to how they diagnose you. Because you may come in for something that you may think it is, and then it just turns out to be something totally different. Anyway, this type of lupus, it's also a marker for other things that they know that I don't have. So for all of those of you out there who are trying to say nasty things about me, specifically where this test is regarding, no, it's not true. I have no STDs, and I have no HIV. People often confuse the ANA test with that of HIV just because it's an ANA and autoimmune deficiency test. So those of you who are out there trying to wrongfully diagnose people after looking at their medical results, whether you see them purposely or accidentally, you need to take a step back. Because just because you test positive for an ANA test result does not mean you have HIV. And we need to clear that up right away. It also doesn't mean that you have hepatitis either. I tested negative, so they obviously know that I don't have any of that stuff. But for those of you who are just walking around assuming stuff with people who have lupus, that they're HIV positive or have hepatitis, you're wrong for that. And you need to stay out these people's records. I'm saying this because there's a lot of hacking going on, and people are going on other people's records and think they're Mr. and Miss Know-It-All. Anyway, enough said with that. I'm glad I talked to God before I decide to take any medications, because, he put something in my heart to not take this Plaquenil. And it turns out to be such a terrible, terrible medication. It causes all kinds of heart problems, lung problems. It causes plaque on your lungs and in your arteries. It causes people to go blind and puts plaque on their eyes. It's a mess. And I'm so glad I didn't take that medication, but for maybe a couple months and only half the dose. It also causes mental health problems. It causes hallucinations and mood swings galore, which is probably why these people were trying to falsely accuse me of all of that through CPS. Little did they realize I wasn't even on the medication that they were accusing me of having side effect type behavior of. Imagine that. And these guys, these CPS workers, they try to be doctors and they're just not. Shame on them. How many people's lives have they destroyed trying to be doctors and lawyers and civil rights activists when all they are is a 2-year degree social worker? Something to think about when you're talking to a CPS worker. Have a blessed day, and God bless America.